In today's video, we are going to learn about a very interesting poem written by John Berryman. This is a poem about a young boy who has lost something very precious and dear to him and the depression that he expresses throughout the poem. Before we get into the explanation of the poem, let me ask you something. Have you ever lost something that you held very dear to you? And have you been grieving over it for quite a long time? How did you overcome the grief? You may feel free to comment below and share your experiences as well. The name of the poem may sound very childish, but it conveys a lot of meaning to the young minds. Yes, it's the Ball poem. The poem is written in a single stanza. However, we'll try breaking the poem into small parts so that you're able to understand every stanza word by word. So without ado, let's get into the poem. The Ball poem written by John Berryman. What is a boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over. There it is in the water. So the first stanza says, the poet tries to convey that a young boy, he looks at his ball which merrily bounces down the street and then it's gone over the water. So here the poet tries to convey that the boy has lost his ball and he seems so sad and upset over the loss. No use to say, oh there, another ball's. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. I would not intrude on him a dime, another ball is worthless. So as we get into the poem, the poet says that there's no use to say, okay, you have lost a ball, there are many other balls and if not this, I can get you another one. But the boy doesn't seem to be happy about it. And then an ultimate shaking grief. Grief is sorrow, which fixes the boy and he is not able to come out of the grief. He stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. So the poet says that the ball merrily bounced and went into the harbor. So from the shore, the child is able to see, the young boy is able to see his most precious ball floating afar and moving away from him. So here, when we make a literal comparison, the poet tries to convey that the boy grieves over the loss of his loved, precious toy. But when we talk of a metaphorical comparison or a metaphorical meaning of these stanzas, it seems to be very deep meaning that it gives out. The metaphorical meaning of this poem or the stanza that we read states that the boy feels sad that his youth is being lost in the ocean. According to the poet, it's of no use replacing the ball to the boy. The poet clearly states that the boy is not going to be satisfied with another ball. And the reason behind it is as the ball floats and moves afar away from him, it's all his memories that are attached to the ball that's moving away from him. The poet tells the little boy, maybe in an imaginary conversation, that in this world of possessions, a world which we own things, people will take balls, which means where the ball is compared to things. So people are going to take things away from you. So every human being must learn to lose things and also you must learn to overcome the loss. And another most important message the poet tries to convey is that we should never be too attached to any material things. So when we are too much attached to material things and when they are taken away from us, then we feel that the loss is much more greater than anything else. When the boy loses his most loved, possessed, dearly loved ball, he feels or he senses his first responsibility, where the poet uses a terminology, epistemology of loss. Epistemology means a lesson that a person learns. So it's a meaning. So he is learning a lesson from this loss of his most dearly loved ball. No one buys a ball back because money is is external. Now, this is also a very striking point that the poet would wish to convey. Now, like you might have heard people telling you, money can buy you happiness, money can buy you things, money can bring the world to your feet, money is external. But here we see, as I told you in the introduction, that the title of the poem may sound very childish. It's just a ball, but we are talking about the emotions attached to the ball, and here the boy is saddened or depressed not because the ball is lost, but because he has learned to lose his memories of his youth. So all those memories attached to the ball is also moving away from him as he grows up to be a man. So there he stands in the harbor and looks at the ball. The ball now here is compared to his young age. So he's just reminiscing, or he's just thinking about the past. So he's thinking about how happy and how merry he was happily playing with the ball. And now when he sees the ball moving away from him, he's also depressed that he's losing his youth along with the little ball that he played. So here the poet says money is external, and he says that money can fetch him another ball, but this money which is external can never fetch him the memories that are attached to this ball. The boy finally learns to move on. Moving on to the next part of the poem, he senses first responsibility in a world of possessions. So this world that we live in is a world of possessions. So we possess a lot. We possess land, we possess wealth, we possess property, and it's a world of possessions where we like to possess a lot of things. So this is the first incident that this little young boy senses responsibility and the sense of loss. People will take balls will be lost always, little boy, and no one buys a ball back. So here the poet makes it clear, and he gives a strong suggestion to the young minds, that's you, that you will lose things in life. That is life. You will lose things. You have to learn. You have to take up the responsibility of learning to bear up the loss of things that you possess or the things that you love so dear to your heart. So what is this lesson that the boy learns? He learns how to stand, knowing that every man must one day know how to stand up when you face a loss and gradually move on with your life. So the life that we lead is not a life where you're going to be blessed with everything forever, and things that you love and cherish are never going to stay with us forever. One day, things that we cherish very close to our heart will definitely be taken away from us. But we should be ready to accept the loss and not be dissolved into the loss, and don't stay grief-stricken and try to come out of the loss. The boy finally learns to give up on a loss, and also he learns to return back to his way of life, and also with a greater hope that greater things lie ahead of the loss. In a nutshell, this poem is about how a person should be able to cope up with loss and not be stuck or not be taken aback or not to be buried into deep grief. And we should learn how to move forward even when you have gone through a great loss. I hope this video would have been very useful to you as you guys are preparing for your board exams, which is around the corner. So continue to watch my videos, subscribe, as I would be posting more of such videos from your first flight of grade 10. And if you have any doubts, you may post them down in the comments below. I would be really happy to clarify your doubts.